Hello, welcome to the Computer Literacy Center's online instructional videos. My name is Austin Rushton, and in this video, we'll be learning how to sort and filter data in Microsoft Excel. We'll have a few learning objectives for this video. To begin, we'll be using the sort tool to rearrange a data set a few different ways, alphabetically, numerically, and then both ways sequentially. Excel has some preset sort functions that can speed things up, so we'll explore that option as well as specify custom sort functions. We'll do this in columns of our dataset, as well as demonstrate how it could be done in rows. Next, we'll move on to the filter tool. We'll use it to hide some information in our dataset so it's easier to manage. Then we'll look at how to update information in our dataset after it's been filtered. Let's head right into Excel. Here we have collected data on some concerts taking place in 2018. It's a little random though, and it might be a little easier to read if we sorted it a little better. To use the sort function, we'll first need to select the data we'll be rearranging. Select everything from cell A4 to F36. Then navigate to the Home tab and in the Editing section, click on the Sort and Filter option. We'll select the Sort A to Z option. The Sort tool then rearranges our rows based on the first column of our selection, which in this case is the genre. Notice how each of the artists is still attached to the corresponding information from before. The data has just been rearranged alphabetically by genre from A to Z. We can also sort by other columns in our data. For example, let's say we wanted to sort our data by ticket price rather than by genre. If ticket price were in the leftmost column of our data, we could do essentially what we did before. We would select our data, click Sort and Filter, and in the places of Sort A to Z and Sort Z to A would be options labeled Sort Smallest to Largest and Sort Largest to Smallest. However, the ticket price in this example is in the farthest right column, so this method won't work for us here. Still, it is possible to sort by a column that is not the first one in the dataset. First, we'll select our dataset like we did before, then click Sort and Filter. This time, from the drop-down menu, we'll select Custom Sort. This will bring up the Sort dialog box. In the Sort dialog box, you have a few options for sorting. In the Column section, notice that it says Sort By, followed by a column name. This is where we'll tell the Sort tool that we want to rearrange our data based on ticket price rather than genre. Simply click the drop-down menu and select Column F where the ticket prices are located. Notice that this changed the drop-down menu options in the Order section. This is because column F contains numbers rather than text. The next section, Sort On, specifies what data the sort tool will be sorting by. For example, if you had formatted your data to display cheap ticket prices in green, average ticket prices in yellow, and expensive ticket prices in red, you could sort by color rather than number. This is unnecessary for our example, so we'll leave this drop-down menu set to Values. Finally, the Order section simply specifies how we'll be sorting our data. Typically, you'll only be sorting A to Z, smallest to largest, or the reverse of either of those. But if you click this drop-down menu, you'll notice there is a Custom List option. If you needed to sort in a different way, let's say you were sorting by month names over the course of many years and didn't want your Aprils placed before your Januaries, this is the tool you would use to do that. We'll leave it set to smallest to largest for now, though. Finally, notice in the top right that there is a checkbox called My Data Has Headers. In a custom sort, you can select your headers along with the rest of your data, and if you check this box, then your sort will leave those headers where they are while it rearranges the data beneath them. Click OK, and your data should rearrange itself so that ticket prices are sorted from the lowest price to the highest. This new data is great, but it has one big drawback. It put our genres back to where they were before. So what if we wanted to keep our genres in order and then sort the ticket prices within those genres? We can do that within the custom sort tool. So let's select our data and return to the custom sort dialog box. First, we want to sort our data by genre again. To do this, make sure the drop-down menus from before are set to Sort by Column A, Values, A to Z. This is only half of what we want to sort, but thankfully the Sort tool has a handy function that allows us to sort our data by information in more than one column. These are called sorting levels. To add a level to your custom sort, simply click the Add Level option at the top of the dialog box. This creates another set of drop-down menus in the dialog box. However, notice that they are prefaced with the words "then by." This implies that the custom sort will give the sorting done on the first level priority over the second. So, if we set the second level to then by column F, values, smallest to largest, and click OK, you can see that the tool has sorted our data by genre primarily and ticket price secondarily. So far, we've only looked at how to sort our data in columns, but it is possible to perform a custom sort on rows too. Navigate to the Pop Concerts Comparison sheet. Let's say we wanted to arrange these concerts by date so we can see how soon each is happening relative to the others. To do this, we'll have to select our data, then reopen the Custom Sort tool. The Custom Sort tool defaults to sorting by columns. To change this, click on the Options button. This brings up the Sort Options dialog box. Here we can specify whether our sorting should be case sensitive, but more importantly for our scenario, we can change the orientation of the sort. To sort rows rather than columns, simply select the Sort Left to Right option and click OK. Notice that the column header has now changed to row, and in the drop-down menu you can specify a row rather than a column. Since we're sorting by date, we'll select Sort by Row 6. Notice that the Order section changed to Oldest to Newest to signal that the tool recognizes dates in our selected row. When you've finished here, click OK. The data will be rearranged so that the earliest concert is listed first and the latest is listed last. Now let's move on to the Filter tool. Navigate back over to the Concerts 2018 sheet. Let's say we were only interested in seeing concerts from certain genres. We could then eliminate some of these other concerts from our list. Instead of deleting them, though, because we might change our mind later, we could just as easily filter them out. Select the data with the headers. Click on Sort and Filter, and select Filter. Notice that this has added some drop-down menus to your headers. If you'll click the one that's over the top of genre, you can see that we've got all kinds of options here. At the top, we can perform quick sort functions from our filter, the same ones we used before. Below that, we have several options to hide things from our data. We can filter out certain colored data, we can filter out data based on what text or values are contained in the column, and we can uncheck words from the final option to hide all instances where that word appears. For example, if I was only interested in seeing rock and pop concerts, I could go through and uncheck all of the other options in here. Then I would simply click OK, and all of the other options would be hidden. Notice, however, that the row numbers haven't changed here. The filter tool is only hiding the other rows. It hasn't deleted them. We could then also filter by price. We wouldn't want to try and uncheck boxes here since every cell has a unique value, but we could create a limit on the amount we want to spend. To do this, let's select Number Filters, less than or equal to. This will bring up a dialog box that lets us set up our filtering rule. Let's say we want to spend less than $50 on a ticket. We would simply leave the first drop-down box set to is less than or equal to, then type 50 in the field next to it. Alternatively, you could search through the drop-down menu in this field for a value less than the max you wanted to spend. The next set of fields would be used to further narrow our filter. We don't need it for our filter, but this would be helpful if you were trying to filter within a specific range or outside a specific range of numbers. Click OK when you're done here. And voila! Our data has been narrowed down to only rock and pop concerts that cost less than or equal to $50. We can then sort these however we like, perhaps by date. This will affect the sorting on our hidden data too, though, so you may or may not want to do this. If you have previously filtered a column and the information in that column changes as a result of some formula or time-related event, such as the current date, it may be necessary for you to reapply a filter. You may also find changes in your data that you need to enter manually. To demonstrate this, let's say that we find out that the cheap $50 Pearl Jam tickets are now all sold out and all that's left are $60 tickets. Let's enter that into our data. But wait, shouldn't our filter not allow any value above $50 to be shown? The $60 value still shows up because Excel only filters data when it is explicitly commanded to. To hide this row, simply click on the Sort and Filter drop-down menu and select Reapply. And that's it. The row is now hidden. When we're done here and want to get our other concerts back on the list, we can cancel individual filters by opening the filter menus and selecting Clear Filter. Or we can cancel all our filters by selecting Sort and Filter and selecting Clear. To eliminate our drop-down filter menus entirely, simply select Sort and Filter and click Filter again. Sort and filter can be a great help to you when analyzing data. They allow you to rearrange things to be more logically understood, as well as cut out information you may not need at a given moment. As you use these tools, you'll be more prepared to deal with large amounts of collected data and will enhance your organization skills. For more information about Excel and other Microsoft Office applications, visit our website at weber.edu/CLC.